umam ye jana pariupasate tesham nitya biyuktanam yogak shemam vaham yaham. Such a famous verse. Translation: but those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. And let me just read the purport here. It's not so long. One who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day, being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshiping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies, which make the devotee perfect in self-realization, so that his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. This is called yoga. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. Kshema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga. And when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable, conditioned life. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestha Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadesh Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Haribol. So I hope you are all well. Aapki tabiat kaisi hai? Theek hai? I hope. I hope no one has COVID. I really pray to Krishna. So this is just a very amazing verse. And I think to begin, I will tell you a story. I don't know if you're familiar with this story. Srila Prabhupada told this story one time when he was giving class in 1966 in New York on this verse. He was actually giving class on verses, same chapter 9, verses 20, 21, and 22. So if you look it up, if you've got Prabhupada's books on computer, you can look it up. So anyway, the story. like I say, I don't know if you've heard this story before, but it is the story of a devotee named Arjuna Acharya. Arjuna Acharya. And this Arjuna Acharya, he was very fond of Bhagavad Gita. He liked Bhagavad Gita too much. And therefore, he would read the whole Bhagavad Gita, just the verses, just the shlokas. He would read the whole thing every day. So, yeah, he was very, very fond of Bhagavad Gita. But there was one verse that he had a problem with. There was one verse which he wasn't sure, is it real, or is this some sort of, someone has introduced this verse, later. In English, we call it interpolation. They take some old literature and then change it later, interpolation. So he was wondering, is it like this? What is the situation? And it was this verse. It was this verse. He wasn't sure. Is it authentic or is it not authentic? So, because he was thinking that here Krishna says, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham, Vahami, I carry, Vahamyaham, I carry myself. That if the devotee requires anything, if the devotee needs anything, then Krishna brings it. As Krishna says, I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So this Arjuna Acharya, he thought it cannot be like that, because Krishna is such a big man that he does not go running around, getting things for people, delivering things, and like a security man protecting the belongings of people. So he thought, no. It cannot be that Krishna personally carries Vahami. So what he did, he changed it. He changed this verse. What he did, he took, because in those days, they did not have computers. They did not even have telephones. Can you believe? There was life before telephones. I mean, mobile telephones. They didn't even have rubbers. Like when I was a child at school, we had rubbers. You would write in pencil and then you could rub it out and change it. They didn't even have that. So and they didn't have paper. They used tree bark. Tree bark, which is a little thick. So anyway, this Arjuna Acharya, this devotee, he was bothered by this word, Vahami. I carry. Krishna saying, I carry. Personally, he picks things up and transports them and delivers them. So Arjunacharya thought this is not possible because Krishna is too important. He thought what Krishna must do is that he must make some arrangement for some delivery service. And he cannot do the delivery himself. It's just not, couldn't be like that. So what he did, he took a knife, some sort of blade, sharp blade, and in this tree bark, he physically cut out the word and removed the word physically from the tree bark. And then in its place, he wrote Karomi. Karomi. If you're a little familiar with Sanskrit, you would know this. It's a very common verb. Karomi means I cause it. I cause it to happen. Just like in Brahma Samhita, Krishna is, what is it? Ishvara Parama Krishna Sarvakarana Karanam. Yeah. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadya Adya Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. So this Karanam, it means to cause. Yeah. So he wrote that in place. So now the last line of the verse, now it reads, according to him, Yogic Shemam Karom Yaham. Karom Yaham. That I cause it to happen, that my devotee gets whatever he or she requires. And he thought, I've done a good thing. I have improved Bhagavad Gita. Good for me. So what he did, this Arjunacharya, then he went out. This was happening in his house. He went out to beg food for him and his wife. He had a wife, and they're living in some very small place because they were very poor. And every day they had no food, so he would have to go out to beg food and then bring it back, and his wife would cook it. Yeah, otherwise they had nothing. They had nothing. So he went. And now the wife is there. The wife is at home waiting. So she's waiting. And there was a knock on the door. Knock on the door. She opened the door. There were two boys, young boys, like maybe 6, 8 years old, just young boys. And one of them, devotees, listen to this, one of them had very, very dark skin, like actually blackish. And the other one had very, very, very white skin, like literally white, and not, the people we call white, they're normally, they're not actually literally white, but this boy was white. You can take a wild guess who those two boys were. You will not get a prize if you guess the correct answer. So anyway, there are these two boys. And these two boys, Prabhupada explains, Prabhupada's telling the story. Prabhupada explains that supported on their shoulders, going from one boy's shoulder to the other boy's shoulder, was like a pole, a bamboo rod, quite heavy, from one boy to the other, and in the middle of the rod, hanging from that bamboo pole, was a hole, like a bag, big bag, full of all sorts of vegetables and grains and just fruits and nuts and spices and dals and you name it, all sorts of uncooked foodstuffs. And so all sorts of things, lots of aloo, gobi, band gobi, tomato, and what else? Mung, all these things. So the very dark-skinned boy, he said to the wife, he said, "We met your husband in the market just now, just a little while ago. We met him there. He was going around asking for food. So we told him, no problem. Look what we've got. Look at all of this. We will take it. You can have it. And we will take it to your house, and we will deliver it to your house. And there you go, just like that." And so here we are. We have arrived at the house, and here are all these foodstuffs and everything. And there you go, just take it, and cook a big feast. So the wife, she was just amazed. And the wife said, "Well, thank you so much. And won't you please come in and sit down, and I will cook. And when my husband returns after a while, I can serve you all a nice feast of Krishna Prasad. But, devotees, listen to this, Sunu, listen to this. The very dark-skinned boy, the very, very dark-skinned boy said, he said, no. We are not waiting for your husband to come. We are leaving before he comes. You want to know why? Why? Because as I was telling him that you can have all of this, it's yours, and we will take it to your house for you. He hit me on the back with some sort of rod. He hit me, and he hit me a number of times. And he cut my back, even though I'm offering, here, take it, I will deliver. But your husband, he hit me on the back and cut my back. And the wife said, no. My husband would never do such a thing, particularly to someone who's helping. But the dark-skinned boy said, no, he did it. And he turned his back. And the wife saw on the back of that boy were cuts. And some blood was there. And the boy said, that was your husband. That was your husband who did that. And the wife, the wife was just bewildered. She couldn't, it's just like crazy. Her husband would never do such a thing. But the boy said, that's it. And then the two boys left. And they left all the boga, we say boga, unoffered food and ingredients for making food for being offered to Krishna. So they left. And so now there's the wife. She has all these ingredients. So she took them and started cooking a nice feast, a very nice feast. Do you have nice feasts there in New Jersey? Anyway, I'm sure you do. Yeah. Okay, I must come sometime and check your prasadam. Anyway, so the wife is now cooking, making all sorts of different nice things. And the husband, Arjunacharya, he comes walking in a little later. And, you know, he's been out begging food. He brought a few potatoes and a half a bund gobi and a few chilies and things. And he walks in, and there's his wife cooking a big feast, like 10 sabjis, 2 different types of samosa, 2 types of chutney, 2 types of rice, and roti and puri, and sweets, you know, like rasmalai, chum chum. And there's Arjunacharya, and he sees this, and he can't believe it. What happened? Where did this come from? Oh, it's a kadasi there. Just aloo, only aloo. Aloo and mompeli. So it was a kadasi here yesterday. Today it's not a kadasi. So yeah, Arjunacharya sees this, and he asks his wife, what happened? Where did this come from? And the wife says to him, you know, it was those 2 boys. You remember, there was the very dark-skinned boy and the very white-skinned boy, and they came and they offered to give all these foodstuffs, and they said they would deliver them, but you hit the black-skinned boy. You hit him and you cut his back. How could you do that? And Arjunacharya, he didn't know what was going on. And he said, what 2 boys? I didn't meet any 2 boys. And I wouldn't hit anyone. I wouldn't hit anyone. What to speak of someone who's helping? It's completely out of the question. And the wife said, no, I know, I saw it. That dark-skinned boy, on his back, there were cuts and blood. And he said, you did it. So Arjunacharya, he's just standing there like, kya ho raha hai? Kya ho raha hai? I just don't understand. Nahi samajhta hoon. Nahi samajhta hoon. And then his eye fell on that page of Bhagavad Gita, where he had with his blade, his knife blade, he had physically cut the word Vahami, I carry. He had cut that out and wrote in his speculation, karomi, that I cause it to happen. And then Arjunacharya, he remembered Bhagavad Gita is a form of Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is Krishna in person. And I have cut Bhagavad Gita. It means I have cut the body of Krishna. I have cut the body of Krishna. But Krishna is so kind that even though I did that horrible act, but he is so kind that he still came and delivered all these foodstuffs personally with his brother Balaram. If you are wondering who the dark-skinned boy and the white-skinned boy were, Krishna and Balaram, of course. But even though I was such a rascal, nonsense, still Krishna came and delivered all these things for me, for us. How kind is Krishna? So, and then, well, you know what he thought? Arjunacharya thought that Krishna, because my wife is such a nice devotee, my wife is a good devotee, I'm just a demon. I'm Asura Rakshasa #1. But my wife is such a nice devotee that Krishna brought all these things. Vahami, I carry, Krishna says. Vahami. So you know what Arjunacharya did? First of all, he went and bowed down on the ground and offered his obeisances to his wife. That's nice, isn't it? To his wife, because he understood she is a great devotee. It's not me. So he offered his obeisances to his wife. I don't know. Anyway, that's a little unusual. I know that. And then Arjunacharya, he was just so excited. He was just so much in ecstasy. He went running out, and he went running through the village, through the market, just shouting out, Vahami, 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 which means I carry. Krishna says, I carry personally. And the people were thinking, oh, what happened to Arjunacharya? But that's what happened to Arjunacharya. And this is a nice story. Srila Prabhupada, I mean, it's a well-known story, actually. And maybe you're all familiar with it. But it's a nice story. Krishna helps his devotee. Krishna helps his devotee. So we must bear that in mind ourselves as devotees, that we can trust Krishna. Yes, we can trust Krishna. Krishna will help us. And this is such a great classic example of Krishna helping. Because, you know, Krishna says there in the verse, let me get it here. Where is it? No, there it is. Krishna says, I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So what does this mean? There's a little subtle understanding, that if you lack something, there's something that you could use in your life, but you just have not got it. And maybe you tried to get it, but you just couldn't get it. So Krishna says, I carry to my devotee, I carry to you what you lack. Now, if there is something which you lack, you know why you're lacking that. You are lacking that because it is your karma. According to your karma, you are not to have that thing. And then Krishna says, I preserve what they have. I preserve. Shema means I protect. He protects and he carries. So, yeah, Krishna says, I preserve what they have. Now, what does that mean? In more subtle understanding, it means that you should lose it. According to your karma, you must lose it. But Krishna comes and he protects it, so you don't lose it. You understand? You get the idea. You lack something because it's not in your karma to have it. And something which needs to be protected, otherwise you'll lose it, means, according to your karma, you should lose it. So basically what Lord Krishna is saying here is that for his devotee, Krishna, Lord Krishna, contradicts the laws of karma. It's quite a big thing, because the laws of karma, they're very strict. They're very, very strict. And no one can escape anything. Let me tell you another story. When I gave the class the other time, did I tell you about the man who met death personified? Do you remember? No? Okay. This is also a nice little story. There was one big businessman, probably somewhere in New Jersey, and he had a worker who used to just run errands and take messages and go to the shops and buy something and bring it back. In English, we sometimes call it a gopher, because he goes for things. So he's a gopher. So the rich man, he sent this worker down to the supermarket. You have a supermarket near where you are? What's the name of the supermarket?
ShopRite, Stop and Shop.
Sorry?
Stop and Shop, ShopRite.
Okay. Stop and Shop, ShopRite. It's the same one. It's the same one. He sent his worker to the Stop and Shop, ShopRite down the road to get something, whatever. So the worker went into the Stop and Shop, ShopRite, and he's moving around trying to locate the item, and suddenly he bumped into someone hard, and he turned around. Who is this? And the person he bumped into turned around, and they're just looking at each other. And the worker said, or no, the worker saw that it is death. It is death. The personality of death. And he's just shocked. The personality of death looks, totally devastating. And they're just looking at each other. And then death made the strange expression like I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. And it was too much for the worker, and he ran. He just ran back to the boss, the rich man, and he told the boss, you know what? I just met death, and it was too much. It was just too much, and I'm going. And you know what? We were looking at each other, me and death made the strange expression like he's going to get me. And that was really too much. So I am going to my brother's place in Brooklyn, and I am going to there's a spare room on the second floor, and I'm going to hide under the bed in the spare room in the second floor of my brother's house. See you later. So the boss was upset. I've lost my worker, my gopher. What am I going to do? So he thought, all right, I will go down to the Stop and Shop ShopRite, and I will find Death, and I will tell Death what I think about him. So off he went. And he went down to the Stop and Shop ShopRite, and he looked around, where is this Death? And sure enough, he found Death. You know where he found him? In the meat department. He found Death. So he just walked up to Death. And he said, what do you think? Who do you think you are? What do you think you're doing? You frightened my worker. Why did you do that? And you're looking at each other, and then my worker told me, you made a strange expression like you're going to get him. And now he's run away. So why did you do that? And Death said, well, I'm sorry. I do tend to frighten people, but you know why I made that strange expression. I made that strange expression because I was so surprised to see him here in the Stop and Shop ShopRite, because I have an appointment with him tomorrow in Brooklyn, in his brother's house on the second floor under the bed. I have an appointment with him. I hope you got that. In other words, you can't escape death, but you can't escape your karma. So it's like that. It's like that. But Krishna is so kind to his devotees that he helps. He preserves what they have, and he carries to them what they lack. So therefore, we, and all you nice devotees there in New Jersey, we should all trust Krishna. We should try to increase our faith in Krishna. And what does this mean? Well, one of the things it means is that we should be more ready to do more for Krishna. We should be ready to do, as they say, to go the extra mile, maybe you know that little saying, to go the extra mile for Krishna, to make an extra effort, to do some extra service, do some more service, to take some more responsibility for Krishna in his service, rather than wait for him to do everything or wait for other devotees to do everything. Prabhupada said that there are two types of devotees. One likes to eat prasadam, and the other likes to serve prasadam. Prabhupada said they are both good, but the one who likes to serve prasadam is better. Means if we try to do more service, take a little trouble for Krishna, and do something better for Krishna, then Krishna will give us mercy. Krishna will give us all mercy. Even if we're lazy, he'll give us some mercy. But when he sees that someone is really trying to do as much as possible to serve him and to please him, to please the spiritual master, to please Prabhupada, when Krishna sees like that, then Krishna thinks, I will take some trouble for this devotee also. Yeah. So this is something I'd like you all to think about and really try to put into effect. I know you're all busy. Everybody's busy, particularly in America, but just everybody's busy. To say nowadays, to say you're busy is just like saying you're alive, because everybody's busy. So we know you're busy. I'm sure none of you have a lot of time to just lie around and sleep more and all that. You're all busy. We are all busy. But we should try. We should try to do something more for Krishna and do something better for Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, in the 12th chapter about devotional service, from verse 13 to verse 20, Krishna talks about the different qualities of a devotee, like humility and things like that, a whole lot of them. And he says that he likes these qualities. When someone has these qualities, Krishna says, I appreciate this person. And Srila Prabhupada gave one class on verses 13 and 14. You can also look it up and see, where Krishna says, if my devotee is like this, is like that, is gentle, is kind, is peaceful, if my devotee is like this, then this devotee is very dear to me. So Prabhupada, when he gives that class on that chapter 12, verses 13 and 14, Prabhupada says, yes, this is Krishna consciousness. How will Krishna love me? How will Krishna love me? How will I become such a person that Krishna wants my association? Because when you become that sort of person, that Krishna wants you, then he'll take you back to Godhead, just like that. You won't have to make any special effort. He will just take you. So therefore, devotees, please do like that. And I don't know when I will visit you the next time online, but, you know, I think I'll probably visit you again sometime before too long. And when I come next time, I will ask Ramachandra Prabhu for a report. How are the devotees doing? Are they actually doing more? Are they doing better? Are they really surrendering? Or are they just sort of, you know, shayan karo, just taking a break and resting? Okay, so we'll get a report next time. Okay, so these are some thoughts on the subject. I don't know, what do you think? Would there be any question, comment, or what do you think?
I'll open the floor now to see if devotees have any questions. You could either unmute or raise your hand. Maharaj gave some very, very nice, narrated some very nice stories to prove the point that Krishna will help. Sandali Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you. Wonderful session. Actually, I can relate this story. The person seeing that so nearby, so I can totally relate that, and I have experienced that. So I'm taking with that experience, but I have experienced that, and I see that, you know, Krishna saves, and Krishna comes to, you know, save you. So thank you so much for sharing and reminding me again to, you know, do more and more service and be more dedicated. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Very nice. Very nice.
Anybody else? You could share your personal experience or even ask a question. I'm sure we all have. Yeah.
Prashna hai? Ek prashna do?
Padmother Prabhu.
Prabhu, if you allow me, I can ask one question.
Right after Padmother Prabhu.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Once I saw you, Maharaj, in the Zoom, I remember those Mayapur days. I used to serve you in the Lotus Building for VC meetings. You and Pralanda Maharaj used to share the room all the time. So I see you serving you. So I have a question, Maharaj. Now, how we can understand this? The verse we spoke today. And there's another verse where it says, Yasya aham anugrihnami harishya tadhana sanai. So who I
like, I take things away.
I take his all wealth. How we understand this and this, you know,
You know, yeah, he takes your wealth, but really what he takes the obstacles. That's, you know, Prabhupada had so much wealth. He had all these buildings around the world, you know, just a few of them were worth millions of dollars, like Bhaktivedanta Manor. But Prabhupada didn't take it away. I mean, Krishna didn't take it away. Krishna gave more. So really what Krishna takes away is the obstacles. So if money is not an obstacle for you, but if you're using it nicely in Krishna consciousness, Krishna will give you lots of money, as he did to Prabhupada. Money, thousands of followers. You know, Prabhupada had this army of at least 5,000 initiated disciples working hard all day, 7 days a week for nothing. They were not being paid 1 cent. So in other words, Prabhupada had a lot in that sense, but because he was using it for Krishna, Krishna didn't take away. So this is really the thing. And in this verse 22 here we just read, that's the idea. You know, Krishna, if there's something you need for your service, Krishna will give it. If there's, you know, if you don't have it, if there's something you have which you really need for your service, Krishna will make sure you don't lose it. So, yeah, but if there's something you have which is an obstacle to your service, Krishna will take that away. So really these two verses, they do fit together actually in terms of the principle behind. And you know, if you're familiar with the Lilamrita, Prabhupada Lilamrita, Srila Prabhupada quotes that verse. Do you remember? Prabhupada quotes this verse when he got knocked over by a bull or a cow in Delhi and, you know, like attacked by some bull or cow. And he was lying on the ground. He already had nothing. He was just distributing back to Godhead. And he was basically more or less penniless. But lying on the ground there, if you look in the Lilamrita, you'll see Prabhupada quotes that verse. So it like, here I am, Krishna's taking everything away. But Krishna had already taken all the material things away. But what Krishna took away there was any idea that Prabhupada, you know, not Prabhupada, but a person might have had that, you know, I can live comfortably in this world without Krishna consciousness. I don't know if you follow the line of reasoning there. So, yeah, but, you know, for really a lot of people, they're attached to their bank balance. And when they get their bank statement, they would like to frame it and put it on the wall. So for people like that, then literally Krishna may take away their money. But the principle is that whatever is keeping you back from Krishna, Krishna will take that away so you can come to him more easily. And if there's something you have which you can use in his service nicely, he'll make sure you can keep it. If there's something you really need, he'll get it for you. How does that sound?
Maharaj, very clear, and all of are, you know, blessed with the answer.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, would that extend to even taking away family members? Not only
yes, it can do. It can do. You know, Krishna took away Prabhupada's family, you could say. Because at some point he understood, I just can't go on like this in Krishna consciousness. But yes, sometimes a family member dies or something like that. Krishna removes them. If they were like real obstacles, because you know what it's like sometimes in families, you know. Sometimes you've got a family where there's some, maybe the husband or the wife, they're really nice devotees, but their partner is just something else. So sometimes Krishna takes them away. It's possible. I mean, Krishna is not brutal, but sometimes he gets a little tough if he feels you really need it.
Maharaj, what would you tell a person who would say, especially a devotee, that I understand the philosophy, I understand Krishna is there, and he protects us, but right now I'm facing so many challenges that I just can't take it anymore. But I know Krishna's there and I pray.
Yeah. Well, such a person should understand I'm being tested. If they're a devotee, Krishna is testing me. And I should really try to see what lesson he wants me to learn through this. Because Krishna, he does all sorts of different things, actually. Krishna is anything other than mechanical in the ways that he deals with his devotees. So we should, when or if we meet a devotee like that, we have to try to help them to see how Krishna's testing them. We should try to help them to see what is the lesson that Krishna wants me to learn from this whole experience. We should really try and help them to see Krishna in their challenging situation, rather than just see, pain and difficulty, but to see how Krishna's there, maybe a little behind the scenes, but Krishna's there and he wants to help them in some way. In some cases, if someone loses their job, for example, this happens. Someone loses their job, and then, the whole family loses their jobs. And now suddenly, how they're going to live? And maybe they have to sell their house and move into something small and uncomfortable. In such a situation, they should try to see how Krishna is showing them we shouldn't depend on the material world too much. This material world is unreliable and unpleasant, and therefore we shouldn't be attached to the material world. We shouldn't really have too many expectations from the material world. And then inevitably, I mean, I've seen it every time in a number of cases, inevitably, if they really stick at it, Krishna saves the day after a little while. And then they become materially nicely situated again.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much. Gopal, go ahead, Prabhu.
Gopal Govind, Jai Ho.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Maharaj. Very nice to see you today. And the class is wonderful. The topic, the class 9.22 is one of my favorite verse. And thank you so much for explaining. In my experience, I also have experienced many times Krishna intervening in many areas. I lost a job, and then he put me in a place where I got very good devotee association. So that kind of changed my progress towards spiritual understanding. So it seemed like I lost the job, but it was not the situation. He actually put me in with more devotees. And not only the devotees, he gave me more money, double the money.
Oh,
So it's amazing how Krishna works. My question, Maharaj, actually, I have two questions really. One is, at times we get perturbed with the situations, difficulties of this type, like losing the job and things like that. So some of the devotees, when they ask us that, how do we stay fixed and not get disturbed with the situation? And especially the devotees, like they are doing sadhana, they are doing practice, and how do they stay fixed? Second question is a little bit different. I am very curious to learn about your pastimes working with Srila Prabhupada.
Well, you know, devotees will stay fixed, you know, whether it's good times or bad times in those terms. They'll stay fixed. First of all, if they really chant very attentively the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. You know, we say when we do japa retreats, we tell the devotees, in chanting japa, there are 3 rules. The first is to chant attentively. The second is to chant attentively. And the third one is, whatever it takes, chant attentively. So that's sort of, you know, the beginning and end of japa in one sense. So yeah, if the devotees really chant nicely, they will stay fixed. Even when death comes, what to speak of losing a job? How about losing your life? Or, you know, some close family member dies. One of our devotees here in this temple where I'm staying in Durban, South Africa, his wife died, actually several years ago. His wife died. She was young. Now, she was like not 40, she was probably around 30. And she got some disease and she died. And this devotee, he is a real powerhouse. He's unbelievable. He's amazing. At the funeral, there was kirtan. You know, I'm sure you have devotee funerals from time to time. He was there, the kirtan was going on. He was dancing like a madman. Oh yeah, no crying and, you know, moaning and all that, which is understandable, but, you know, he was taking it as Krishna's arrangement. So, and then, but, you know, one thing, in some other religious communities, like particularly often in the Muslim communities, it's quite common. And in the Jewish communities, it's quite common. I don't know if it's as common as with the Muslims. But if someone loses their job, and, you know, the whole family loses their job, that sort of situation, then the community comes together. If it's a genuine case, and not just being lazy, the community comes together to help. And, you know, we sometimes in our communities, our devotees do this, but it is something we need to work on more, looking after the devotees. It's part of devotee care. Then the other thing, about myself, I don't know. You know, I didn't have a lot of personal association with Prabhupada. I was present. I was in London, and Prabhupada would come through every few months, like, 3-4 times a year, even more often. Prabhupada would come and stop in Bhaktivedanta Manor for some days. So we would see him. But in terms of like personal face-to-face, one-on-one association, the only time I really had personal association like that was when I got second initiation. And that's a bit of a long story, but early in the morning, there was a number of us. There's probably, 10 or something. But one by one, we were taken into Prabhupada's room to receive Gayatri mantras. I was the first one. It was like 5 in the morning. And Prabhupada, I already had my Brahmin thread on. And Prabhupada looked at me. And Prabhupada said, "Why have you got your Brahmin thread on?" And I didn't know why I had it on. And so I became speechless. And he said, "Who put your Brahmin thread on?" And I told him the name of the devotee. And Prabhupada said, "Why did he put it on you?" In other words, it was a very sort of sobering experience. Sure. Almost verging on frightening, because Prabhupada was a very imposing figure. Then Prabhupada called in the temple president, Mukunda. He's now Mukunda Maharaj. I don't know if you know Mukunda Maharaj, one of the original devotees. And Prabhupada asked him, "Why has this boy got his Brahmin thread on?" And there are like 500 devotees in the temple from all over Europe. And the temple president is doing everything. And Prabhupada expected him to know why I had my Brahmin thread on. And Prabhupada told him, "You are the temple president. You must know these things." And then Prabhupada gave me the mantras, and I had to repeat them. Of course, I didn't know them, but I managed to get them right. Then Prabhupada showed me how to count. Are you second initiated, Gopal Govind?
Not yet, Maharaj.
All right. Anyway, so when you get Gayatri, you have to count. You get 7 mantras. Each mantra you have to chant 10 times, 3 times a day. So he showed me there's a way to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He did it like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now you do it, me. Shoo. So it was a very, daunting experience. That was my first and only time being alone with Prabhupada. There were other times when, quite a number of times when I was present, but that was the only time I was alone with Prabhupada. Sure, it was quite a nerve-wracking experience. So, some other time I'll tell you some of my other experiences with Prabhupada. There's some very interesting ones.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. What next?
Any last question anybody has? Okay,
You want to invite
Swargashri.
Maharaj to America?
Swargashri has a question. Go ahead, Swargashri.
Hare Krishna Jai. Girish Maharaj Ji, this is Shwarg. How are you doing?
मैं ठीक हूँ.
अभी
आपकी
बनवाई
तबीयत कैसी है?
मैं भी ठीक हूँ.
हाँ, कृष्ण की
Okay.
कृपा.
Yes, I would like to share something to you all about how, Lord Krishna, take care his devotees' good wishes. Uh, I have a son, you're aware of that, and I always wanted him to go to the best high school over here because I heard that the high school is the best school he has to go into good colleges. So this year he will be going to the high school, and he has applied in a couple of schools, but we were worried we were not getting any good acceptance. So I was then started talking to Lord Krishna. It's you take care of it. I know whatever you will give to your child, you will give the best. And I found that finally he got the acceptance in the best school, high school in USA.
Oh,
So that's how, I understood that, if you have a really very honest, wish, which is really very good, he will give to his devotees. I wasn't expecting that he's going to go through that big high school, the best one. He sat for the exam to get into the school, but I just said, you go sit, let's try. If you go through it, that will be great. And see that Krishna has, gave him that chance to go to the best school. And so
that's
this is,
right.
yes, it's a really big wish, that he is there always by us.
That's very good. Keep
Yeah, because I was
chanting.
not expecting, that he's going to, I just finally said, Lord, wherever you will take him, he will go. And see, like Krishna has given him the best one.
Right. Well, you keep chanting, and
Yes.
Krishna will make more arrangements like that also.
Yes. Thank you so much. Nice to see you here.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you. Nice to
Krishna.
see you.
Please
Hare
accept
Bol.
to your lotus feet.
Hare Krishna. Okay.